Welcome, beautiful friends, to the Way of Mastery. We are kicking off our deepening of lesson number 7 tonight, birthing the mind of Christ. Who would like to give up the mind you think with for the mind of Christ? Yes. I think it's unanimous. I was sure glad to give up the one I used to have for the mind of Christ. No more suffering. You know, way back in lesson number 2, for those of you who were here, and you remember at the end of the lesson, Jeshua asked us to write on a card these 4 words, ought, should, must, and have to, and we all burned them in the fireplace. How many of us are living free of ought, should, must, and have to? Yes. Yes. Because God doesn't say we ought to do anything, we should do anything, we must do anything, we have to. So I don't know why we take all these other body minds point of view and think we should. There's liberation just right there. Those are out of your vernacular. Now, when I was working with these, I set Jeshua up in my mind as a anytime one of these words crossed my consciousness, I would hear well, there was a long list of other ones that went with it, but primarily these. So, you know, you can ask your spirits, you know, your guides. Oftentimes, we think we're on our own to do this, and we tend to go to our guides when we think we need help or when there's a problem. The fact of the matter is their sole function is to wake you up. Invite them to be present with you 24/7, 365. And also invite them to speak first. Rather than you always being in control in your separated state and saying, "Oh, I'll ask my spirits," rather open the door to your consciousness and allow them in. Take the door of your consciousness off the hinges so you can't close it. Things really picked up when I allowed Jeshua to speak proactively to me in communication, in communion, rather than me. Because, of course, think about it. We don't even know the right questions to ask. We're clueless as a bag of rocks in our separated consciousness. It's just really, it'll be helpful. If you want to, you're welcome to do that. Let's see. You ready, honey? So the pathway axioms we start with.
I am created as my Father created me to be. I am free, and nothing sources my experience but me in each moment. Nothing has an effect on me whatsoever, save that which I choose to allow to affect me. I need do nothing. I do not live any ordinary moments. With each breath, my experiences are the stepping stones laid before me of God to guide me home. Therefore, I will bring awareness to each moment and allow it to teach me how to forgive, how to embrace, how to love, and therefore, how to live fully. The only relationship which holds any value at all is your relationship with God, your creative source. And the keys to the kingdom: desire, intention, allowance, and surrender. And now the definition of love. Love allows all things, accepts all things, trusts all things, embraces all things, and is therefore transcendent of all things.
Thank you, honey. And the UPS man's on the porch. Oh, cool. So out of number 1 tonight and out of number 3, I'm going to pull the word and. Our ego is but consciousness. In more ways than one. And those of you who get the lower meaning of that, good for you. I know where your minds are. Just kidding. But our egos, our egos are always in opposition to, yeah, but. I know that, but. Rather than and, which is inclusive. So just look in your consciousness where but is used to separate and divide. Even truth versus illusion. All those buts are really, here's what I think to be true, but my experience is this, and I'm divided and conflicted within myself. It's hard to kind of come to peace when you're divided. So but is a separating device. It's always yeah, but. So simply try replacing but with and. Yes, I think I know that, and what would my experience be like if I was living that? So you start to do what love is. It allows, trusts, embraces, and transcends. You start to wrap your and, if you will, around everything rather than using the but to separate and divide. So and is a beautiful replacement for but. I need do nothing. I think we covered it. Number 4, the only relationship which holds any value is your relationship with God. Yours. You're responsible for yours. You're responsible for no one else's. Those of us who are in relationship with someone, married or a codependent, special, seemingly, cool body-mind relationship, this is one of the hardest things to do, is for us to be solely responsible for our connection with Source and stop jerking around with the other one's connection. If there's a welcoming and an opening and we can be helpful in that way, it's great to do so. But you get no more points from being connected to your creative source. Quite honestly, you have to disconnect from your creative source to go try and help someone else connect from their creative source. Your relationship. And you know what? Your relationship may look different than someone else's. Someone else's may involve an awful lot of ceremony and circumstance and pomp and ritual and all kinds of stuff. Well, great. If those are the tools that they need to have that connection, then so be it. There's nothing wrong with that. Hallelujah, they have the connection. So focus on your relationship with God or your creative source, and you can substitute any word for God that you want. Eventually you're going to put your own name in there, not as your body mind, but your name as Christ or the Buddha or the One or whatever. So work on your relationship and yours alone. When you set everybody else free to arrive at their relationship with the Creator in whatever way works for them, it's a big relief. It's a big relief. And, you can't go home alone, but you can't go home dragging your friends by the hair either. You go home by allowing them to connect on their own in the way that works for them. And love will show up and give them the way. Everyone is destined to wake up. We all share that one destiny. If we would get out of each other's way and let us all come to it on our own, the way that works for us, wow, it'd be a lot easier. We're all going to share in one pathway tonight, which is one of the ways to get home. That's going to be fun. Keys to the Kingdom. He talked about it, and we had all of lesson 4 was about desire. So he said, take the lid off desire and let desire come. And boy, didn't we really like that. It got very exciting, very exciting. And then in lesson 5, he says, there's only one desire that really matters. And that's desire for perfect union with God. Absolute perfect remembrance. So all the excitement that the ego got about, I can have all these things I want, gets dashed in lesson number 5. You can continue to chase those things all you want, but enough of us have had those things only to find out it just leads to the desire for more things. You don't actually get lasting peace. Intention, allowance, and surrender. And allowance, he said, is the most important step where we move into I need do nothing rather than being the doer and the maker of absolutely everything. And you got to love love. Love allows all things. So all those bad things that are happening in the world and everybody goes, gosh, why is God allowing that? Because God's love. And God's accepting it, trusting that it's going to serve a good purpose. When we stop hurting ourselves enough, we'll find, when we had enough, we'll go, you know what? Maybe we as humanity need to catch a clue. And it embraces all things. The love of God has held all of humanity and all of us all through our stuff and will do so throughout eternity. There's no buts in that love, is there? There's no no's in that love, is there? So when we rid our seeming idea of love of all its no's and all its buts, and we just rest in this silent yes and allow things to be as they are, no matter what our mind wants to tell us there are, no matter what the media wants to tell us it is, no matter what those of you who believe in the Illuminati are telling you to believe, You can just say, yes. Yes. That's what Jeshua meant in the garden when he said, Father, take this cup from me. He was seeing his mind's desire to not go through with the crucifixion, but he said, nonetheless, thy will be done. I see my but I go with your and instead. And I'm glad he did so. Here we go. Jen, you ready? Wow, Jen blew us away last week singing the Aramaic Lord's Prayer. We posted it on the One Who Wakes website, and it went viral on the internet and it's had well over like 140 plays of people listening to beautiful Jen sing the Aramaic Lord's Prayer. And it's the first time she ever did it. It was kind of like stand-up Aramaic improv. So, welcome back.
Abunda boshmaya Nita kadash shama Tete makuta Nuede savianik Ikanada boshmaya ofaraha How long nachmadest du keinen Yamana? Wash for clan el hayabein, I Canada panan. Wash for clan el hayabein, Ula talan el nestiona el a persan. Min bisha metal di laki makuta uhaila utishbokta la alam almin amen.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Jen. That's beautiful. Now, we're going to hear Jeshua do his. I heard in the back of my mind as she was singing, well, my version's not nearly as good. but here we go.
Awun, the Washmaya, Nita Kadash Shamar, Tete Malkuda. Neve Sivinach, Akina the Boshmaya O Baraha, Haulan Lachman Sunkanan Yamana, Boshwoklan Halpin, Akina Daphanan, Shwakin Il Hayabain, Ula Talan Il Nisyon, El Pasam Membisha, but all the Lachim El Kuda. Uhaila, utishbokta, la alam, amin, amen.
Okay, so we're going to go through the lesson. I will deepen it by what I'm shared, what's guided, and the experiences that I had when I was working with him on these particular things. You're free to like it or hate it. You're absolutely sovereign. I'm not attached to it one way or the other. If it works for you, use it. If you're in big disagreement with it, have your time with your disagreement, whatever you want to do. You're welcome to throw it out or use it. It's all up to you. We just extend it to you in love. You ready, Cindy?
Now we begin. Forever I am with you. Forever I am with you. For long before the stars were birthed, long before the planets arose, long before even a thought of physicality had emerged into the divine mind of the Son of God, we were already created together and equally. And yet that creation of what alone is real knows no point of birth. Therefore, because the Father is forever, so too have we abided together, held together, sustained together in love. And throughout all time, and even unto eternity, do we abide together in the reality of who we are. Therefore, think it not extraordinary when I say unto you, I am with you always, even unto the end of this age. What journey have you ever taken that is not familiar to me? What journey have I ever taken that is, in truth, not familiar to you? For when you look upon me, and from some deep place of knowingness within, though the words may be different, you say within yourself, Behold, Christ appears before me.
Behold, Christ appears before me. So this is a pretty common theme in the first paragraph of every one of these lessons. He acknowledges who He is, and He acknowledges who we are, and He insists that we are absolutely, perfectly equal. Now, your mind may entertain a whole lot of buts about that equality, but His is a steadfast and eternal and. Always is, always will be. So when we're entertaining thoughts and beliefs that we're not equal in every way, then no, you're just lying to yourself. You're free to do it. Love says, allows, accepts, embraces, and trusts that you'll stop. Perfect equality. So this is His reference to in the Bible when He said, I am the Alpha and the Omega. I was before time was and after time ends at the end of this age. And we love this I am always with you thing. We think it's such a great gesture on His part. Well, He doesn't have a choice. We're all one. We're all with Him. We're all with each other all the time. This whole dream is our attempt to perceive that there was a choice where there wasn't. When we said, yeah, but, what would it be like to not be consciously aware of our infinite union and infinite perfection and our infinite equality? I am always with you until the end of this age. And then whatever age comes after that, and after that, and after that, and after that, and after that, throughout all of eternity, when time is gone. So this paragraph right here is very important. What journey have you taken that is not familiar to Him? Because recognize, He is with each and every one of us. The journey that we take, He takes with us step by step by step by step. I will never leave you comfortless. I am always with you. We take those steps, but we insist to take them on our own because we block out the voice for love. We block out that truth. So we walk paths over and over and over, thorn bushes over and over and over, sewers over and over and over, because we don't open our consciousness and allow that still small voice to say, been here, done that, you don't need to do it anymore. You're free to choose again. But the real power comes in the second line. What journey has I, Him speaking as Jesus, ever taken that is not in truth familiar to you? So His entire pathway to enlightenment, to overcoming death, to the crucifixion and the resurrection has happened within the Christ mind on behalf of each and every one of us. Not that He did it for the rest of us. We are that one same self that we've already played this thing out. So if you think enlightenment's in the future, it's only because you deny that it's present within the Christ mind now. This lesson's about birthing the mind of Christ. Well, that comes when we get rid of the but mind of ego. So we think, we fear we'll be crucified. We've already been crucified and we've already resurrected from the crucifixion. We don't have to play that whole thing out again. You recognize in our egos, it's kind of like the insistence, I've got to do this myself. And love says, okay, as you wish. But it's already been done for us. When I got early on the pathway and I was scared to look at my stuff, is one of the waking up to the movies, we sat down and he showed me the crucifixion. And he did commentary like I do commentary on waking up to the movies. And he was hilarious. He's like, wait, watch this part. And I had so much fear and angst about it, but I saw His humor and His lightness and His complete insignificance about it. And the jig He did when He stood up in the cave when the body was resurrected. He's doing a jig in there. And it completely decimated everything that I had ever conceived about what that process was like and what His life was like. But of course, He's looking at it from heaven, from the completed state. And it really helped me recognize if He can look upon that with such humor and such responsibility and such joy and such laughter, what can I not look upon? And when I said that to him, he said, "But you must recognize, I have already looked upon it and it is forgiven. You need not even do that. It is done for you already. You just need to accept that it's done." But we run around insisting that we have to do it ourselves. And we put our own crown of thorns on with all of our negative thoughts. That's what that crown of thorns mean. And we crucify ourselves over and over and over. And if you have a special relationship, you can put the nails in your feet and in one arm, but you got to have your partner come put the other one arm for you. There's always somebody else involved in our self-crucifixions. But all that need not be. Behold, Christ appears before me. And there is not a one of us, he said, and he'll get to it in this way, there's not a one of us who hears these words or who will ever hear them, not that you had to be in the room when he said it, who has not communed with him directly and already knows that this is true. So we run around in our egoic consciousness thinking we have to learn and remember. What we need to forget is that we think we need to learn and remember. It's already there. All of that needing to learn and struggling and seeking arises from the separated mind, not within the mind of Christ. So when you think you need to learn these lessons, you might simply go, I wonder if I'll take his word for it, and it's true. It's already in my being. He says these are our words, so I must know them on some level. What if I just were to relax this idea that I need to effort at it, and I simply open up softly and allow it to drop in? Allow the truth that is already in me to reveal itself, rather than plastering over it with all your effort. It's miraculous when it comes. And because it drops in already completed, it usually doesn't come like in little bits. It comes in this boom, download, flash, revelation, whatever you want to call it. Behold, Christ appears before me. You want a spiritual practice? The nose is optional. But go around and every person that you see, even if you don't say it out loud, in your mind, behold, the Christ appears before me. And I bet you're going to have a very, very different day than you usually run around having. And why not? All you're really doing is affirming the truth. You're preempting the but that says, oh, that's Sally, or that's Mary, or that's a fat guy, or that's a disabled guy, or that's a, whatever label you want to put on them. Just try, behold, the Christ appears before me. Because when you affirm the truth is very joyful to show up and say, yes, yes.
When you hold a thought of me in the mind, and the body is flooded with emotion, soft and gentle and light, and you recognize that the Holy Son of God was birthed, perfected in your friend, even one Jeshua ben Yosef, what is it within you that knows that this is true? What part of your mind, what capacity within your heart can look upon me and recognize the truth within me, so that you love me? For I say well unto you, it is equal and the same as that part of my mind, that part of my heart that looks upon you and says, behold, the holy child of God is before me, and I love this one. That which knows, that which comprehends immediately, is the mind of Christ, that recognizes itself in each and every one. That mind of Christ dwells within you in its fullness now. And therefore, as I have said unto you many times, never fail to remember that it takes one to know one. And if you would look upon me and say, beloved friend, thank you, look well upon yourself and say, beloved friend, thank you. Indeed, allow the breath to flow.
You're going to spend your day out. Behold, Christ appears before me. Start in the mirror in the morning and at night and every opportunity you get. I have heard it in my mind, I don't know, more times than I can count. Behold, 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 with an indiscriminate. It doesn't make any distinction between anyone or anything. It's not just with people, but we tend to have our grievances with people more than we do with things. So behold, the holy child of God is before me, and I love this one. You know, if you will allow those words into your mind and through your mind, or even better yet, to roll off your tongue, think not that the soul that knows that is true will make its appearance within your consciousness and will be very grateful for the opportunity. Very, very grateful for the opportunity, because it need not lay in wait while you judge and condemn and everything else. So he's talking about this place of mind that we share as one. A couple of lessons ago I talked about your eyes are constantly, unconditionally loving. They let everything in. They don't know how to exclude. Your eyes can't say, oh, I don't like yellow, so no yellow can come into my consciousness. You recognize it's unconditionally allowed, but then our minds interpret it and evaluate it and judge it, and that's all the action of the ego. So he's saying that part of us which immediately recognizes before the ego says but, and then starts chattering away in its consciousness, that part we share as one. It's one self that we all share in absolute, perfect, eternal equality. And that's why there's so much in spirituality about stop thinking. Because when you don't think, it's only that immediate cognition, recognition, that is there without the body-mind arising in its but. I don't know if you've noticed, the ego's got a bad stutter. But. I mean, it's always butting. But that part is within each and every one of us now. It's the Christ that's hearing this. It's the Christ that's speaking this. But it's the ego that's evaluating it, that's interpreting it, that's going, yeah, I believe that, no, that's doing all that. It doesn't add anything. The ego and that mind that thinks only detracts from reality. It only separates it and bifurcates it and butts it to death. Whew. It's equal in part to his mind and his heart, which is your mind and your heart. So if the thinker has you engaged in a self-improvement program, it's a trap. It's an absolute trap. It's denying that this is true. Next time your mind beats you up because you didn't do a course lesson or you didn't do something, you can just quietly rest in, I don't need to. I am that one now. And again, when you affirm the truth starts to show up in your consciousness and say, yeah, you are that one. And so is that one, and so is that one, and so is that one, and so is that one. So it's already been perfected in our one mind and in our one heart. It's already been perfected. Your effort's not going to add to that perfection. Your effort actually denies your realization of that perfection now. We can't improve on the perfection that already is. But we can sure allow and accept and surrender into it. That's a whole different spiritual practice than all the effort, isn't it? That's, I need do nothing. If I think I need to, I've clearly already denied the truth that's true now, and I'm listening to the wrong voice. So you don't really need to birth the mind of Christ. It's already within you. Already. But you can hasten its remembrance by things like, behold, the holy child of God appears before me, and I love this one, and I love this one, and I love this one, and I love this one. And if your buts come up, you just keep right on going. And I love this one, and I love this one, and I even love the butt.
How many journeys have there been? How many moments of experience passed under the bridge of your beingness, so to speak, before you first began to reawaken to the truth that is true always? How many lifetimes, how many worlds, before a light began to dawn, so imperceptibly at first that it was not recognized, and a tiny voice whispered from a place that seemed so far removed from where you dwelt, "Beloved son, you are with me now. You remain as I have created you to be. Therefore, be at peace. You are loved." And the voice seemed so far away, so faint, that surely it could not be your own. Surely it was just a moment's fantasy. And in the midst of some journey, you paused, and as a raindrop fell and hit a leaf, and your eyes looked upon that experience, you felt you knew that you were one with the leaf and the raindrop, and that indeed you were those things. How many moments of experience passed by before these kinds of qualities began to emerge in your consciousness? So what seemed to be a tiny mad ideas? My God, I just felt myself to be one with all of creation. Oh, better not tell anyone that. And off you went.
A tip that he gave me, and I've shared before, is about recording these things in your own voice and then listening to them back. It's a little trick because it gets past the gatekeeper because it's your own voice, so it's a sneaky little trick, but it works great. So, behold, beloved son, you are with me now. You might want to record that in your own voice and just listen to it over and over and over and over and over. Because you listen to the crap thoughts over and over and over and over. You listen to the I'm not holy thoughts over and over and over and over. You might want to give at least some opportunity for some equal airtime. But by doing it in your own voice, you begin to affirm the truth as yourself. And it will come to show it to you. Rather than the voice that just says, I never hear a voice. I never hear any guidance. Well, here's an opportunity to give yourself some in your own voice and begin to condition yourself that the truth will come in your own small, tiny voice. It may come in the form of your guide. It may come in the form of Jeshua. Who knows? But how many journeys have there been? I mean, just look in this room. Couldn't we each write down 30 many journeys taken within this one lifetime? Times humanity incarnated now, times all of time and space. You think we've covered all infinite possibilities yet? You think we've had enough of separation and suffering and pain? I have. How about you? I mean, if you really feel like you got to go milk some more of it, well, then you got plenty of buts. Love says sure. There are plenty of beings who are still sleeping who'll show up to play with you. I'm hearing him ask me to back up before. Can you back up? Oh, I can back up here. When you hold a thought of me in the mind, so he's asking if you will do that now, he will come. Now, you all felt something. You all felt something. It may not have been the divine, whoa, I'm one with all the universe, but you felt something. To the degree that you're open is how much you can feel. Did you have to be worthy of it first? Did you have to ask really, really nice? Did you have to get the words just right? You just had to hold a thought and make welcome with that thought. And the I am that is always with you said, yes, I'm here. In some way, whether you heard a voice or whether you felt something. You think you're apart from love? You can only feel and experience that if we are indeed of one mind and one heart. Right now! I mean, this takes all the wind out of the ego's sails. Shit, he couldn't do anything to stop it. I mean, it's right here. It's that close. How many times a day could you make welcome? What if every time you judged, you turned around and made welcome for I am? And you held that thought, and you got that feeling instead of that contracted anger. He'll come. Love waits on your welcome. And if it's not him, if you have another guide, well, hold the thought of them. You'll get an experience out of it. That's how we begin to become out of conceptualization and ideas into our own direct experiential knowing. That's how we move to knowing. Okay, Cindy.
But the moments began to come more often, still perhaps fleetingly, and yet now more familiar. A sense underneath all of the drama, all of the crying, all of the lamenting, all of the resenting, all of the fearing, all of the striving, all of the seeking. The still, tiny voice would come and say, "Beloved son, you remain as I have created you to be. You are loved. You are wholly loving and wholly lovable forever." The tiny voice would still steal through the roar and the din that seemed to make a home within your mind. And rest assured, you would not be where you appear to be in this moment if you had not already begun to experience many moments that express the qualities I've just described to you, of truly hearing the still, small voice of the Comforter within.
So I'm not sure how we can be in denial sometimes that we don't get spiritual guidance when we actually end up in rooms like this on a weekly basis. Then we can believe the thought that says, I don't ever hear any guidance. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. A Course in Miracles or the Way of Mastery or someone awakened shows up in your life and you think, I don't ever have any spiritual guidance. And by the way, everybody else that comes to these things seems to have it, but I'm the only one who doesn't. How many of you have heard that? How many? Come on, raise your hands, because I want you guys to see that it plays that game on everyone. It plays that game on absolutely everyone. Here's another one. Beloved son, you remain as I have created you to be. You are loved, you are wholly loving, and wholly lovable forever. When we get to lesson number 11, the entire lesson is a meditation around I am loved, I am loving, I am lovable forever. So there's another one. Help yourself hear that small voice. Record it and then turn it up really loud when you hear it so that it will drown out the din of all that other stuff. How many of you have had those moments of knowing something was bigger than what you are? Of course. We wouldn't be in this room if we hadn't. But you can make welcome those opportunities. Instead of being out and, oh, look at the beauty of nature out there, invite the I am that is your one shared self and abide as that self. It's the action of our mind that separates us. So we can, by stopping the action of the mind, we can consciously move into those experiences of expansiveness, of oneness, of wholeness. And when you can do it consciously, well, you won't do anything else. But if you're waiting for some spiritual something to show up, you're denying the fact that you already are that. What if you just softened into it? One of the tricks that he helped me with is we tend to focus with our vision. We tend to make it specific. So we'll look here and everything else kind of falls out of focus. He taught me just to soften the focus so I was focused on nothing, but yet everything was in focus. So it helped the action of the mind no longer be specific, but be inclusive. And it's very soft. It will relieve a lot of tension behind the eyes. And you all of a sudden begin to feel that same expansiveness because you're no longer focusing and excluding. You're kind of including. So the vision becomes very, very soft and very welcoming. These are things that you can do while you listen to the video or the audio of yourself, beloved child.
Therefore, indeed, each of you knows that there is a longing within you that cannot and will not any longer be denied. You know from the Christ within you that Christ has stirred within you and is rising to take up its rightful place as the master of your mind and your heart and your body and your breath and your dreams and your passions. And each of you knows that this is absolutely futile to attempt to settle for anything less. And if there be anyone here in this moment who actually and truthfully doubts what I've just said, speak up. And so, silence is all the evidence we require. It does not come because of anything I have ever done for you. It comes because it must come. It must arise within each created mind, regardless of its journeys, regardless of its attempts to deny what is eternally true. That's called the illusion of the dream of separation. It must come, and it is inevitable, because Christ will not be denied. Christ cannot be denied, because only Christ can express what is absolutely true.
So that which is eternal, that which is all that is, isn't going to play second fiddle to your body mind. Isn't going to play second fiddle to the ego. The denials of the truth of you will become increasingly more painful. Because what you are is not going to sleep anymore. If you're at this stage, you might as well just throw in the towel and relax and allow that which is true about you and true about you now and has always been true. Not that more spiritual practice by you will make it true, but by you abandoning the becoming and simply accepting and resting into what you already are. It's already done. He calls this in the Course in Miracles becoming right-minded. He talks about taking the world because the Christ slept or appeared to sleep and allowed the little ego mind to become in charge. Well, for me, that happened in one very quick writing, so to speak. For some, it seems to be this, a little bit, until finally it rights itself. But you can aid that process. You can stop the denial and even the really stringent spiritual practices that we do that ultimately are really denial. Because, of course, the Christ in you already is one with everyone that you want to pray for. That's ridiculous to the Christ praying for another. There is no other. But we can make a whole spiritual practice out of doing those kind of things and not recognize that we're separating ourselves in the action of this prayer. This is why it's called rest. Rest into the truth that is already true. Are you not exhausted? Do you really need to mantra any more Course in Miracles lessons? Rest. The truth is true for you now. He said that somebody out there, and it could be online, it might be in the room, actually had a little bit of a doubt. So we're going to give you a little more silence to see if you're going to speak up because you're not sure that that's true for you. Okay, Jane. It's okay. So Jane was saying she needs to do, feels like she needs to do and wants. Whoop, whoop. Well, he really meant silence, didn't he? Oh, great. Looks like you're getting extra time to think about his question. But Jane was saying that she still likes to do the Course in Miracles lessons. And so be it, because the Holy Child of God has decreed it. And he says it's not because of anything he has ever done for us. And if you look at a whole lot of the energy behind your prayers, you're really asking for something or someone out there to do something for you that you perceive you cannot do for yourself. And that's a lot of energy that's going into your own denial that the Christ that you are is within you now. At least do your prayers instead of God say, self, my own Christ self. Otherwise, you recognize you're diminishing your own power and saying, out there, someone else, please do it for me. I used to ask him that all the time. He's like, dude, I've told you I can't do anything for you. Did you not hear me say in every lesson about our perfect equality? I've already shown you what the equality can do and has done for you. Why don't you just accept it? I mean, this is kind of the whole seek first the kingdom. The Christ already is. So why would I need to do these things that make me perceive as though it's not, and I need to make it real or need to make it become conscious to me? So the Christ in you will not be denied. In the Course in Miracles, he says immediate results come with infinite patience. Well, infinite patience is simply accepting the truth that's already true. Not by trying to make it by your effort. You're violating axiom number 2. I think I do need to do something. I think there is someone out there who can help me, or something out there who can help me. It's time to lay those down and let the Christ that you already are rise within your consciousness. Think not that what you are in truth is not ready to embody you. That's its whole purpose.
Only Christ can so inform the cellular structure of the body that even the simplest of gestures extends love unto another who beholds it. Only Christ knows how to breathe the breath that releases all trauma, all hurt. Only Christ understands the power of true forgiveness, which is always, by the way, forgiveness of oneself, since no one has wronged you at any time. Only Christ can bring a smile to the lips of a body, such that when another looks upon you and sees that smile, their heart is filled. Only Christ can walk in this world, yet not be of the world. And only Christ can transform every limited and fearful creation into the beautiful flower that blossoms and gives its sweet fragrance to all of creation. And is it not that which you long to feel moving through your beingness? Is not that the call to awaken alive within you? Oh, beloved friend, you know that it is. Love you therefore one another, and love you therefore the self that has been given unto you of the Father. Learn to hear only that voice. Learn to desire only that voice. Learn to follow only that voice that knows the truth is true always. I and my Father are one, and this world is but a passing shimmer and a dream. It holds no value save that which Christ can bring to it. Only love is real, and anything else is the choice to momentarily believe in illusion.
So this first paragraph, only Christ, only Christ, only Christ, only Christ, only Christ, only Christ. Only the truth that's within you has any power to really do anything. The body-mind with all its spiritual knowledge, the ego with all its well-intended effort, can't do any of these things. Only Christ knows how to breathe the breath that releases all trauma and all hurt. If you're doing breath work, I bet a lot of you are the doers of that breath work. Breath work's about being done by the breath. It's about being breathed by that is not the conscious thinker whose only capacity in the breath is to stop it and hold it. So even in the expression of the body, the ego can only butt, it can only resist what is the natural expression of the spirit. Be done by the breath. Lay back one day and just say, "Do me, self," and see what happens. Only Christ understands the power of true forgiveness. And that power and that truth is already within you. I mean, oftentimes, Jeshua would show me this image of a library within my mind that all of Christ's knowledge was already at. And I kept insisting on running out to some library out in the world. And he said, "It's all right here. Why wouldn't you just look within your own consciousness?" And I began to do that, and miraculous things began to show up, and wisdom began to show up. Only Christ can bring a smile to the lips of a body such that when another looks upon you and sees that smile, their heart is filled. We all know that cheesy plastic fake grin, don't we? Some of us have mastered pulling that off. But you can tell it, can't you? When you're faking it or when someone else is. This genuineness, this authenticity, is not a smile to get something from another. It's not a smile to elicit a reaction in another. It's not a smile to get them to perceive you in a way. It's a smile because they are the holy child of God. And you smile at someone in that way, they'll know it. I assure you the soul over there will say yes. It will either be grateful and may come for an embrace, or it might say, "Ooh, we're still dreaming, we got to move on." And that's okay. Whew. Only Christ can walk in this world and be not of it. Those of us who are trying to do spirituality in our head by trading concept for concept for concept for concept, or asking all the time, what's the appropriate set of Christed behavior? Let me have my little checklist so I do this in every situation. All of that is the ego trying to fake what is very, very natural and effortless for Christ. What if you went into a situation, how many of you plan? You're going to meet somebody and you have 3 conversations with what you might converse with them about before you get there. I mean, there's no like improv, there's no spontaneity in creation. We're always trying to manipulate it through our own thinking. What if you simply were blank and you showed up and said, I don't know what to do here. I'm going to step back and Christ, just do your thing. And words may come and expressions may come and you might be amazed. You might go, wow, this has really got something going. I think I'll surrender more often. To myself, no less. Capital S, self. And only Christ can transcend every limited and fearful creation and turn it into a beautiful flower that blossoms and gives its sweet fragrance to all creation. So all of you who have looked within your consciousness and said, this is too dark, this is too bad, this is too bitter, this is too whatever, and you think, I could never forgive this, ask the Christ. I can assure you that Christ within took my story and has turned it into something that I am joyful to share. Behold, I played ego down and dirty. And I did it well. And I tasted every flavor of separation. And I come to tell you, we need not do it anymore. The Christ knows it was all a game. The Christ knows none of it had any bearing on what you are in truth. But we don't usually open up to that voice. We're too busy within the guilt voice, wearing our crown of thorns with all our negative thoughts going on. So when you don't know how to forgive or you don't know how to breathe through what's happening, maybe you just say, Christ within, take over. Show me what to do. Guide me in it with every step. Oh. And therefore love one another. Love that allows, trusts, embraces. My Father and I are one. This one is sometimes often confused. We often say, I and my Father are one. It's not I as this and the Father as something are one. It's the I of the Father and the I of me are the same thing. The existence of God and my existence are the exact same thing. Not two are one. It's not we. It's only one. So the I that you are, absent of your whole story, is God. And is present within you now. And will joyfully reveal itself to you when you no longer insist on keeping your body-mind story prominent. We've never been apart from this. We've been using that very presence and that very power to fuel our dream. That's how much we're loved. We got the whole inheritance to go do this whole crazy thing. And we never lost it. It's been present the whole time.
Oh, and rest assured, illusion within an illusory world can seem to hold great power, but all power has been given unto you. All power under heaven and earth is given unto the holy child of God, and that power dwells within you as the life of your life, the breath of your breath, the truth of your truth, the beingness of your beingness, and the joy of your joy. And there has never been an illusory creation that has ever in truth threatened it, and no illusion can take reality from you. The only thing that can occur is that you use that power to believe in loss, and all forms of loss that you perceive through the physical eyes or through the worldly mind are nothing more than passing shades of your insistence on believing that loss is possible. All forms of the contraction known as fear are nothing more than temporary modifications of the very power given unto you, a power that you have sought to use to see if it were possible to convince yourself that something besides love is real. But the story is over. the dream of separation is ending. The whole of creation is now experiencing a growing power, if you will, a movement, a momentum that must carry the mind from which creation springs to a new level, if you will. It's not so much at evolutionary level as a level of recognition, a level of remembrance, a level of returning. And that wave of momentum is alive, and it has already arisen within your heart and mind. You know it. Stop denying it. Stop questioning it. Stop looking for signs from the world around you that it's okay to feel it. Accept it as a divine gift from your Creator. For the call has gone out, and though many listen, few hear, and fewer still become wholly devoted to responding.
All power over heaven and earth is given to each and every one of us by the simple power of our choice to surrender to the Christ within and have the power of heaven arise within our consciousness, the power of perfect peace, the power that knows how to forgive, the power that knows total transcendence, or the ego, which is the power of hell or earth. And you're all intimately familiar with that. We all wore that one out. Did any of us think that we have yet to convince ourselves that we really believed we were separate from God? I mean, I was thoroughly convinced. I really was. I didn't need any more practice. All forms of contraction known as fear are nothing more than temporary modifications to the very power given unto you. So if you're experiencing fear, you're using your love to create it. You're using your freedom to create it. It doesn't come from outside of you. When you experience fear, does it not seem to be within? It may appear as though it's related to outside situations, but in the Course in Miracles, he talks about love or fear. Well, fear was love that we separated and called it a separate thing and said it was bad and indulged in it. It was all one thing. It was all love. It was all infinite possibilities. And it wasn't bad, by the way. We tried the experiment. I think we all had our fill of it. Big deal. But it's already using the creative power when we create experiences of fear within. We're using the very power. But we use it as the ego, so we create fear through it. Recognition, remembrance, returning. So it's coming back to the place we never left. It's not learning anything new. It's simply remembering fully what has always been. And I think it's very cool, by the way, that we can actually think we forget it. Very convincingly, by the way. That takes a whole lot of power in and of itself. So it's not about learning anything new. It's about unlearning everything that told you learning was important. And learning is so deeply ingrained in our consciousness that when somebody comes up and says, oh, do you know how to do something? Oh, no, of course I don't have any experience with that. I'd have to go learn how to do it. I have to take a class. And we actually believe that. There weren't any classes for walking on the water. There weren't any classes for feeding the 5,000. There weren't any classes for raising Lazarus. Jeshua just knew that the truth was true and it was in his consciousness, and what the Holy Spirit told him he could do because it already was. So what if you gave up learning? What if you gave up study? You recognize that's all built on the false premise. And you just allowed the truth that's already within you to make itself known. And that's the one mind of Christ. That's the infinite knowing. That's omniscience, omnipresence, omnipotence. Already. We don't have to become it. We just have to stop our becoming like we're not it and let it arise. Stop looking for signs in the world around you that it's okay to feel it. How many of us have felt joy and we're scared to show it? Because it might be inappropriate to laugh. It's not politically correct. I mean, it's not just that we have fear. We suppress our joy. We're scared of being happy. We're scared of letting our light shine because somebody might go, well, they're just an asshole because they're so happy. Well, angry people usually do think happy people are assholes. So I'm a happy asshole. Join me, big deal. Accept it as the divine gift that it is from the Creator. Accept. Everything else is denial. Everything else is active, moment-to-moment denial. Rest is acceptance. Allowance is acceptance. Peace is acceptance. Happiness and joy are acceptance because it's present. Many listen, few hear, and fewer still choose to become wholly devoted to responding to the call of the Christ within. I can assure you it took whole devotion on my part. I couldn't have Christ when I wanted peace and then push it away when I wanted to stand in my judgments and my condemnations and my blame. I couldn't have perfect peace unless I was perfectly all in. You're welcome to do it 50-50 if you want. Many of you are already doing that. You got one foot in heaven, you got one foot in the world. You're trying to get the two to balance. You're trying to find balance. So you're trying to balance infiniteness with tininess. How is that ever going to be balanced? I mean, it's crazy we think we can balance my smallness against my infiniteness. That's the ego just, oh God, please don't leave me. Just, we can have a balance. We can have a holy relationship with God and I'll still get to be separate. But I'll get all the benefits of heaven. Nuts. Nuts. There is no balance. Abandon balance. Go all in for the truth that is true of your being. And let it show up in you. You won't want balance when you've got perfect peace. Balance it against what?
Therefore, let your prayer be always, may Christ alone dwell within and as this creation that I once thought was myself. May Christ alone inform each thought and each breath and each choice. May love direct each step. May love transform this journey through me, that in time I might truly know the reality of eternity, the sanctity of peace, the holiness of intimacy, the joy of the Father's love prior to every breath, and indeed even prior to every thought that arises within the mind. For when you know that you are holiness itself, how could you ever look upon your brother or sister and believe that they have wronged you? How could you ever want to do anything but love them? That is, let the love of Christ flow through you so deeply and so profoundly that they get that you do not believe their illusion.
Those who want to play story time really don't come to sit with me. Because there's no room in that space, because Christ occupies that space completely and is meeting them as Christ. Stories we don't give a whole lot of attention to. And sometimes people persist. No, I've got to tell you my story, but. But inevitably a miracle happens and eyes are open and minds are opening and peace kind of shows up. But this is a very powerful prayer. But he's not asking it to God out there. He's saying to the own Christ within, may Christ alone, and by the way, if you look at that word, it's all one. So it's not just the Christ of me, it's the Christ of all. May that one alone, the one that already knows it's one with everything else. Not me having my Christ and trying to connect with someone else's Christ. That's the ego trying to co-opt the whole thing. The one that already is the one shared mind, the one shared heart. Dwell within and as. Not that it's going to dwell like within this physical form, but as it. As this creation that I once thought was myself. Not that was myself, not that is myself, that I thought was myself. May Christ alone inform each thought and each breath and each choice. May love direct every step. In the Course in Miracles, he's got this whole section on the rules for decision. Today, I will make no decisions by myself. He's asking us to live this. He's saying, I authorize my own Christ self to ascend and take the throne. Totally, wholly, in every way, in every aspect of my being. Period. May love transform this journey through time, that in time, not after death, not the ego's, oh, I get to kill you first, then you get to have God. Now, that in time, I may truly know the reality of eternity. The reality of it. Not a concept of it, not a belief of it, the experiential lived reality of it. The sanctity of peace, the holiness, and remember when he repeats himself, he's making a point, and on the tape he slowed down at this point to say, the holiness of intimacy. If you look within your story and your body mind, you are scared to death of intimacy. We want it, we want it, we want it. We fantasize about it, and when it comes close, boy, we're great saboteurs, aren't we? We push it away or something comes up because we're scared of that intimacy, because holy intimacy is the end of the ego. It's done. It's gone because it's no other anymore. It's just that one Christ. The joy of the Father's love, the joy of the freedom that the Father gives us to be infinite creators. Not that God messed up and that this dream was a fall and we got like kicked out of heaven for bad behavior. The joy of infinite freedom, the joy of the power of choice to create. Prior to every breath, of course, he's talking about the Christ embodying us as the presence that is always present, in which breathing even seems to happen, in which thinking even seems to happen. And indeed, prior to every thought that arises within the mind. So he's saying the ego is no longer the gatekeeper. The ego is no longer the vigilant one. It's the Christ itself that already knows. Full authority restored to the holy child of God within. So you don't have to worry about ego thoughts getting up because you've given rightfulness, right-mindedness to the source within you. So you won't source those kind of thoughts anymore. You won't source judgments and separation because it doesn't exist within that one. That's a great one to listen to yourself, say to yourself over. And I heard this in my own voice hundreds of times. Hundreds of times. For when you know that you are holiness itself, the whole thing itself, you know, it's only then that judgment will stop. It's only then that you will truly know your brother as yourself. It's there that neighbors disappear. But of course, we can't really know that until we begin to give authority to the Christ within to live this life I once thought was mine. And then you'll only want to love them. You'll only celebrate the joy of the Father's love that gives them all the capacity to dream the dreams they dreamed. You'll celebrate them. Woohoo! Behold, it is very, very good. The child of God has created, and it might look sick to the world, it might look nasty to the world, it might look holy to the world. But behold, the freedom of the child of God is being expressed right here, right now. Wow. Let the love of Christ flow through you so deeply and so profoundly that you don't believe in everyone else's illusion. Just look at how you show up. I mean, even the social chit-chat, we greet each other as egos. What if you greeted each and every one as, behold, the Christ is before me, and your story was very, very good. Now let's get present. You see what I mean? You know, we can stop about the one-upmanship. Oh, you know what? I mean, people come with their story. They're so guilty. Oh, I did that too. Big deal. And they're like, what? Big deal? This is a big... God doesn't care. God's not pissed off. I mean, a whole lot of forgiveness can happen in the presence of the love that is unconditional.
For when you give unto another that which alone is true, because all minds are joined, you have offered unto them the only gift that holds value. You give another the truth, perhaps even without saying a word. Again, because all minds are joined, they recognize what has been offered. The one before me knows the truth of me, and is looking right through every one of my attempts to be less than who I am. Therefore, I see that it's safe to choose again, and that is when miracles occur. Do not strive to heal this world. Do not do anything to make a show of how much you love another. Give up the concept of being a busy bee, and simply be the presence of love, simply because you know there is absolutely no value in being anything else, and that in truth you have never succeeded in being anything but the presence of love.
So when you're truly in this space, every being knows it, whether you say a word or not. You don't have to get up in front of a room and get plastered all over the internet. You might be asked to. If you do, I hope you will. But it's simply by being the presence of love. That's being the incarnate presence of Christ or God. Recognizing only itself in unconditional love. So this second paragraph, all the miracles, healing miracles that Jeshua did, all he did was look right through their illusions and speak to the Christ within them and say, all your sins are forgiven. All your illusions, all your creations, all your misperceptions, all your story mean nothing. And those beings chose in the presence of their own Christness to heal themselves. He had no power over them. He just met them at their power and encouraged them to use it. You too can walk the world as that Christ. And you will say, I don't do these things. God, love, the Christ does these things through me, and He is that one. But if you don't drop your story, you don't have any shot at helping anybody else wake up from theirs. You're just going to meet them with, we got to do more practice, and maybe we can get together and do that. I know, we do that kind of thing. We call it support groups. Therefore, I see it safe to choose again. Isn't it great to really hand another Christ their own freedom, their own opportunity? You can't give it to them. You can just say, I've accepted it. I know it's true for you. Here's the opportunity. You're free to take it or not. Not everyone who came to Jeshua for healing was healed. Because of course they were healing themselves. Everyone had the opportunity. Everyone here has the opportunity to be healed as Christ. I mean, this is walking the world. Being not in it, not in the story, not in the drama, not in the bodies, but in the consciousness of Christ, at one with every other being. At one. Not that they're other. Do not strive to heal this world. That's a real pisser for the ego. I mean, all of our efforts to heal the world, all of our causes, all of our, we should do this, we must do this, it's the right thing. Where's that thing from earlier? I ought to heal the world, I should heal the world, we must do this, we have to feed the children. All of that is energy of denial that the truth is true now. And by the way, it's true for each and every one of those beings. You want to help? Wake up and be present with every being on this planet as Christ and offer them the choice to wake up themselves. That's infinitely more helpful than feeding 1 million hungry children. I'm not saying feeding children is bad. But do not strive to heal the world. Heal your own separation. And then you will have a gift of immeasurable value to extend to each and every being. And they'll be free to accept it or not. No, you never hear in any of this work, you better or else. You hear as you wish, whenever you want. And it's okay, you can't screw it up. There's no value in being anything else. An activist, a world leader, a really famous celebrity, the next one who walks on water. There's no value in being anything save the incarnation of Christ. And once you are, you won't really care whether you're one of those things or not. If it happens, so be it. If it doesn't, you're already all that is. What could you want for more? You already look upon every aspect of yourself whole and perfect and radiant. What can you be stressed out about? What's there left to judge? Rest. It's beautiful, rest. You have never succeeded at being anything but the presence of love. That sounds like that doesn't make sense to what we just said, does it? It took the presence of love to pull our whole deception off. Without the power of God, without the presence of Christ within you, we couldn't have even dreamed that we were separate. We were just misidentified with that separate self that we created. Choose again. So the miracles start to happen around you when you accept your own miracle that I am that one. And you begin to give that prayer absolute holy sovereignty in your mind, that the Christ alone dwelleth, and there is no room for anything else. There can't be anything else. Wow, that's really cool. And do not do anything to make a show of how much you love one another. This is a real bummer because Valentine's Day is screwed. Screwed. And all these sappy Hallmark cards, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, how many of you have sent one of those from the bottom of your heart and then you wait by the phone? You wait by the phone for the thank you. And if their reaction isn't just perfect the way you expect it should be, then the disappointment starts. Oh, I wasn't appreciated. We've all had enough of that game. Walk the world as the Christ that you are. Otherwise, you're already doing it, but you're just denying it. And everyone you meet, you're encouraging them to deny it. It's hilarious. Okay, honey, I think we're going to wrap up here. Can you just kind of mark that? He goes on in this lesson, which we'll talk about next time, to give a symbol for the tiny shadow that our ego is, to kind of illustrate for us how incredibly, incredibly tiny it is. And I'll give you a sneak peek. I included a visual here. Who saw this photo? This is Earth. What you see there, it's not this. That's an arrow pointing at an imperceptibly blue dot that is Earth. if that won't just immediately shift your consciousness and put it in a wee bit of perspective. If you don't get it, here's a bigger arrow. And think how big you make your separate little world. And not even even within our own solar system, Earth is almost imperceptible. I mean, the reality that strikes your being when Christ arises and you get a sense of infinite against what you thought you used to be, you'll not even recognize that little self anymore. So next time you think your problems are really big and all the other problems of all the other beings seeming to run around on this imperceptible blue dot, might get a little bit of perspective. So cool. Not next week. I won't be here next week, but week after next, we will have we'll be back by then, right? Yeah. All right. I'll have to consult on that one. I hear we will be back for that one. Not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after. We'll continue the deepening of lesson number 7. Any questions or comments? Okay. Let me do announcements. If someone wants to come and not tell me their story and actually be the presence of Christ, come. This is fun stuff. You can put on a nose. I'll let you pick first, yellow or red. And we'll simply be the truth that we are. If you want to talk about your story a little bit, okay, we won't interrupt you. We're doing I Am Awake to Love and Joy, a Playful Awakening Retreat. This is a safe place if you want to. You can leave your ego story at home, come play as Christ for the weekend, and then go back and decide whether you want to put your costume back on. October 3rd through 6th. Love offering. Ooh, I'm so grateful our brother channeled this pathway for us, huh? Yeah, I mean, it's really nice. I love that this pathway is top down. He starts at the truth, and he's relentless about what the truth is. It's not like he's meeting us down here. He's saying, okay, I recognize you might be down there, but here's the truth. Meet me here. I like that rather than we're born in sin and we got a lot of work to do to get over it. We love you. And those of you who felt Him, would you like to one more time? So just hold the thought of Him. Ooh, that feels nice. Feel a chill. Some of you will get goose pimples. Some of you get that little shiver that runs up your back. Yeah, you'll just have a smile for some reason appear on your face. And for those of you who are out there who are thinking, I don't feel anything, He will not give up. If you'll keep making welcome. There's just fear there in the way. That's okay. He knows ways around that. But we love you with an absolutely, it's cool, isn't it? Yeah, you betcha. You betcha. And it's just you showing up to yourself. You just call it Jeshua for the time being. But we love you with an absolutely infinite love and a perfect, perfect peace. Blessings and a joyful good night.